Alright guys, so today I am doing something completely different and outside my comfort zone. So last week I uploaded my video on my custom prototype base that I call the Behemoth, and got a really good response. That base sold really fast, and even more shockingly, all 6 pre-orders that I listed for sale sold within 24 hours. I am just shocked. I did not expect that at all. And it puts me in kind of a weird predicament because I've never been a guitar manufacturer. I've only ever done like custom one-off builds. I've never mass-produced guitars on a larger scale. So this is all very new to me. So I wanted to bring you guys in on the process because maybe some of you are kind of in the same boat that I am. You want to take your guitar building from custom one-offs to a larger scale manufacturing process. So I just wanted to bring you guys in on that process and kind of share with you what I'm thinking and learning along the way. I'm Dan, this is Guns and Guitars. Let's get started. Now right away, I think I'm going to be able to save an hour on my build just by not needing to make 2-piece bodies. Okay, cutting up that board and gluing it together, I logged an hour in that process just to get the slab to cut my body out of. And because I went with larger slabs that I can do 1-piece bodies out of, that's going to save me some time right up front. And that's something that I think you guys should consider, is that I paid a little bit more to get a slab big enough to make a couple of bodies out of, but I think I'm going to make that money back in the hours that I'm going to save by not needing to cut and glue them together. So just something to keep in mind. The only thing is I'm going to need a little bit of time to break these slabs up into smaller pieces so that I can fit them into my bandsaw. So that's what I'm going to do first. Alright, first hang up in my manufacturing process, I definitely ruined this saw blade. This blade is too thin for this thick of a piece of wood. I'm still learning the limitations of my new bandsaw. I thought I could cut it out first and then plane it, but it looks like I'm going to have to plane it first before I can cut it. If you want to get good with the bandsaw, try knocking out 4 bodies in a row. That was really good for refining my skill. I started out at about 15 to 20 minutes per body, and I ended at about 7 to 8 minutes per body, so that was awesome. Unfortunately, I've only gotten 4 out of the 6 cut that I need to get cut. These other 2 I'm going to have to plane first because you can just see they're nearly 3 inches thick, and my bandsaw I think is just not capable of it. If you can't tell, that winter storm is blowing in. It's getting kind of crazy. I don't know if I can even use my router sled in this kind of wind. The dust is going to be blowing everywhere, but I'm going to give it a shot, and but I might have to call it quits for the week. Alright, well that nasty winter storm has passed us and all the snow is melted, save for a few patches that are left in the shade. And our daily high temperatures are above 40 degrees again, so now I can get back to work. Over the weekend, I got 3 out of my 6 import necks in, so I'm going to quality control these real quick. That way, if I run into any issues, I can make sure that I get them replaced in time to do the actual installation. Alright, first check, is the neck twisted? Pass that test. Second check, can I get it flat? It's mostly flat already. So I'm able to get back bow, I'm able to get level, and I'm able to get relief. This one's good to go. Neck is not twisted. Wow, the neck is actually already straight right out of the box. That's awesome. All right, we have back bow, we have relief. This one is good to go. Neck number 3, no twist. Again, straight out of the box. Truss rod works. Okay, we have back bow, we have relief. Awesome, 3 for 3. So now I'm not logging my hours on this part specifically, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple hours, hopefully just a couple hours, to make some MDF templates of different neck and pickup layouts that will make things hopefully easier in streamlining my manufacturing process. This is a 2 foot by 4 foot piece of MDF that I got at Home Depot for I think like 20 bucks, and I think I can get 4 templates out of that, so that comes out to like $5 per template. Totally justifiable cost. So I got another fancy new tool that I'm trying out today. This is going to be part of my Build Your Dream Guitar workshop for less than 500 bucks. I got a really good score on this. I'll talk to you about it more in that video. But I honestly was getting kind of nervous because I didn't really know what its application would be in my guitar building process, because up until this point I've been using that spindle sander so much more often than I realized I would, and so I thought that maybe I wouldn't need this, but I think I found the application. And that application is going to be in duplicating router templates, I think. Obviously, it's going to also help when I start manufacturing my own necks, but as I mentioned in the previous video, I'm going to be using import necks for a while until I get things a little more dialed in. And so I'm just going to stick this one that I carefully sanded with my spindle sander, and I'm going to just use some double-sided carpet tape to stick this sucker down on here, hopefully in a perfectly centered spot, and use this router table to just kind of make everything perfectly line up. Now, another reason why I haven't used this yet is I'm honestly a little bit scared of it. I've seen a lot of people have accidents on router tables, so I'm going to be very careful, and if this doesn't work out right, then I'm just going to sell this thing and stick with the spindle sander. Alright, second verse, same as the first. You know, I was thinking something as I taped up my 4th template to route out. This double-sided carpet tape holds so well. What I probably should have done is just stacked all 4 pieces together, held together with the carpet tape, and then just cut them all out together on the bandsaw, and then spindle sanded them all together. And then I would have had 4 uniform pieces in probably even less time than this. The router table seems to be working, but I'm just not sure that it has a place in my manufacturing process. Alright, so I got my standard jazz pickup layout done, And I'm going to use this template now to make my other templates. And you'll notice that I put a little bit of tape on the inside of my neck pocket here. And the reason for that is because right now I have a perfect fitting neck pocket, and I want a slightly tighter than perfect fitting neck pocket, just in case there's some variance in the neck heel of these imported necks that I get. I would rather hand fit each neck to each pocket than have one that could end up being a little bit too loose or sloppy. All right, so that took a total of 6 hours to make 3-ish templates. Okay, I've got my standard jazz layout. I've got currently 4 of these on order. I got a PJ layout, got currently 2 of these on order. And then this is going to be my J double J layout, but I'm going to wait until I have my double J pickup to make sure I route that cavity properly. So that one's about 3/4 of the way done. I have one J double J layout currently on order. And then this is going to be my 5-string layout. I don't currently have any of these on order, but I have at least 2 or 3 people that are on a wait list that want a 5-string version, and I'm excited to make 5-string versions. So these 2 bodies that I'm making out of elm, I had to stabilize with epoxy. This one I knew that I would because it has some gnarly damage throughout it, and it's gonna look super cool, I think. But this one, I thought was gonna be fine, but once I cut into it, I found a few cracks and stuff that needed to be stabilized. And unfortunately, that's going to be the case often with these because I'm trying to get sustainably harvested wood. So these were harvested locally from downed trees or trees that need to be taken down for fire-wising. Those of you who live near a forest, you know that sometimes you have to cut down a few trees to save the forest. But as much as possible, I want to support local businesses and I want to use wood that's harvested in a sustainable way. So unfortunately, this is what you get because when you deal with that kind of wood, it's often damaged. Now, I'm not super good with epoxy. Burl's art makes it look a heck of a lot easier than it actually is. It actually adds quite a bit of work to these builds. So I think from here on out, when I do builds like these, I'm gonna be charging an additional premium to do the epoxy work if this is the look that you're going for. Because honestly, it adds a few more hours. So I already spent a couple of hours pouring the epoxy in these. I had to do several times and it's still not all the way full, but that's because I need to plane it down again. So that's what I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna go ahead and plane it down again. So another issue that I've run into with using sustainably harvested wood, when I was planing this down with my router sled, my router threw sparks and I hit a screw that had been broken off down inside the wood. Now I don't know if this tree used to be like some kid's playhouse or if somebody tried to hang something at some point, but the screw head wasn't there, so I had no clue that there was a screw down inside there. But when I was planing it, I hit it. I was able to back it out with a pair of pliers, but now I'm left with this nasty hole, which sucks because this is a beautiful piece of black walnut. And I've never done this before, but I've heard that you can use sawdust from your same body wood and mix it with Titebond or super glue and make a color matching wood putty. So I'm going to try to do that because unfortunately this screw hole is not in a very convenient location. It's not going to be routed out for a pickup or an electronics cavity or covered by a bridge or anything, or covered by the pick guard even. If I choose to do a pick guard with this one, it still wouldn't even cover it. So I have to fill it. I have no choice. And I don't want to just use regular wood filler because that'll stick out like a sore thumb. So hopefully this works. So I decided that I need a back template for my electronics cavity and for my back little carve to make it a little more comfortable for playing. Again, just for consistency. So I was hoping to save this for a 5-string version, but I'm just gonna have to make a new template when it's time to make a 5-string. So here I just got 2 straight pieces of scrap wood that I'm using as my guide for those 2 edges, and then I'm just gonna freehand this curve right here. And then I think I have a plan for how I can come up with a matching control plate for that. All right, I got 6 bodies now, almost prepped for the final finish. To get to this spot when I was doing my prototype took me about 5.5 hours. Now that includes cutting and gluing up 2 pieces to make 2-piece bodies. And so far, including my time making the templates, I've got invested about 4.5 hours average between each body. Now, if I take off the time for cutting and gluing, that puts my average at about the same for both my prototype and these. But if I take off the time making templates, then it actually saves me another hour. So I'd actually have about 3.5 hours on average invested in all 6 of these. Honestly, I thought I'd be further ahead than I am right now, so I'm a little disappointed in that, especially since once it comes time to the finishing and the wiring of the electronics and stuff like that, I'm not going to be able to streamline a whole lot to save time. But I do have a really good idea how I can streamline making these cavity covers and the pick guards, which I think will really help with my overall hours invested. But before I can go any further, I'm waiting on the rest of the parts to come in. I'm waiting on the pickups and the necks for most of these, and they should be in hopefully next week, if not the week after. And if you want to see all these things completed and sound demoed, the different pickup layouts and stuff, then make sure you're subscribed because that video will be coming up soon. But until those parts come in and I get these finished up, I have a cool little side project that I'm working on that I'm gonna let you guys in on. So make sure you're subscribed. I'm Dan, this is Guns and Guitars, and I will see you in that next video.